Shalom Ubracha from Yerushalayim. We have completed our discussions regarding the role of the Mesader, the one who invites and the congregants for various honors, the Somech, the one who stands next to the Koreh while reading the Torah. And so now we're ready to proceed into the reading of the Torah and the unique Halabi customs associated with the reading. There are customs which I discussed in my previous videos when I was talking about taking the Sefer Torah out and reading it on Monday and Thursday. So we covered many topics which are applicable also on Shabbat. So I urge you to look at these videos, numbers 27 and 30, and you will see the discussions of the customs such as inviting the Aliyot with the silver plate that has the beginning of the Aseret Diberot. We discussed the reasons as to why that custom is so beautiful and so important. The customs of what the Oleh reads before he makes the Beracha, Hashem Imachem or Rabbanan and so on. We discussed that, the Sefer Torah being open with the kerchief covering the writing. So all that you can refer back, they apply also on Shabbat. Today I wanted to discuss a very unique custom to the Syrian communities all over the world, obviously from Halab. And that is the way we divide up the reading, how we break up the Aliyot. Now, if you look at a regular Chumash, when I say regular, I mean standard Chumash that's printed, it always has the Aliyot program, Sheni, Shlishi, Rebi'i. And for the most part, the entire Sephardi and Ashkenazi world follow these stops, more or less. Of course, if you need extras, you always break up and you could add extra Aliyot at the end. The only requirement is the halachic requirement to not finish 3 Pesukim before or after the parasha, where you see a peh or a samach in the text, in the Chumash. And also we try to end what's called Bechi Tov, and begin Bechi Tov, which means on a positive note. It's all Toratenu, Kedosha, everything is holy. However, there are some Pesukim which could be Tochachot, it could be Kelalot, it could be in the middle of a story. We try to end on a positive note, nice wording, and begin with nice wording. And that's also discussed in the Rishonim. But the way we break up our Aliyot are much different than any other community. So let me give you an overview of the system that we use. Generally speaking, there's always going to be exceptions on this parasha or another parasha. And we may even go through parashiyot and discuss where there are exceptions, but generally, what you find in the Humashim, let's say till Sheni, what we read on Monday and Thursday, you'll have always in the Humashim, it'll say Sheni. And on Monday and Thursday, we'll divide that into Kohen, Levi, and Shelishi. That's what we do on Shabbat. Shabbat, our Kohen, Levi, and Shelishi, the first 3 Aliyot are generally compressed into the first Aliyah that's printed in the books. When it's printed in the books till Sheni, we divide that into 3. Our Aliyat Rebi'i and Hamishi are generally a bit longer. Again, not following the stops of the books, of the Humashim that are printed. And the Shishi is usually very short, 3 or 4 Pesukim, ending with a nice Beracha. Again, like we mentioned, the Shishi is usually reserved for the Hachamim, the learned people, the elderly, or that go up Shishi. And then following that, we break up as many Aliyot as we need, depending on the needs of the Kahal, which we call Rekke, extras. And the final Aliyah before the Mashlim is called Samuch. So Samuch, and then Mashlim, and then Maftir. So that's the general way we break up the Aliyot. What is interesting is that even though the system is generally the same throughout all the Syrian communities, the actual Aliyot may be a little bit different. You may have very different customs between synagogues or between Kehilot. For instance, here we use the Chumash that was marked up by Alav Shalom Hacham Ezra Shayo. And we follow his stops. Now, it's not always consistent with the stops that we used when I was in New York and I prayed in Bnei Tzhak. So we had the Chumash that was marked up according to the stops of Hacham Yaakov Kassin, Alav Shalom, our chief rabbi. As a matter of fact, he may have actually marked up the Chumash. It's still there in Bnei Tzhak. And those and sometimes you have differences between the two, let's say the two shishis. It may have differences, but the system was always the same. First, the Aliyot was till Sheni in the regular books, the Hamishi longer, Shishi short, nice beracha. In Argentina, they also have their system, and they probably coincide or agree, let's say in 90% of the cases with New York and Addis. But there are changes, and they actually printed Humash. Rabbi Mosseri alav shalom printed a Humash called Sukkot David, which is the name of the big kihila in Argentina, where he has the stops based on the stops of the community in Argentina. So we have those Humashim here, and we'll see differences sometimes. And I understand that there's a project in our community to print a Tikkun Sofrim that has all of our actual stops, the customary stops that we use in New York, and also with footnotes, possibly in the end of the Sefer, with the lists of the stops from other kihilot. It's a beautiful project, and I'm looking forward, very much looking forward to seeing it. So we'll discuss various other customs about Sefer Torah in our next video. Shalom ubracha kol tuv.